Oliver's village to meet up with Tony Lopes, who has a background in petrochemicals, mining and electrical engineering. But now he's known as innovator and designer. He's dedicating his time to living sustainably and showing us that energy solutions do not always have to be high-tech. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good, Danine. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. This place is incredible, and I can see it's quite a hub of activity on the go.
Yes.
So what is your role in this particular project?
I'm assisting this NGO organization becoming more green with what they intend to do on this project. Oliver's House, the NGO, provides math, science and computer science for early school leavers that didn't finish their grade 12. And they also have preschool, 4 to 6-year-olds that are orphaned or vulnerable, and they provide a meal for them. We've also get people from the community to do community gardens. So they each get allocated an area, and we show them how to grow food in an organic way. And then there's the food forest initiatives. We've got a whole lot of fruit trees growing. They're still in their infancy. And it's also got a photovoltaic. So we're not totally off the grid yet. We do still use Eskom power, but we try and use as much electricity produced by the sun as possible. We've got a solar thermal 1,500 litre water tank, and they use that hot water for washing dishes and to also assist with the cooking. We've got the toilet block. The waste treated from that is not the normal sewage infrastructure. We've got various systems in this toilet block. We've actually got two. We've got the dry compost system.
Okay.
So if there's no water, this treats the human waste with time after the drying process. After about 6 months, it's harmless. And then we can use that as a fantastic fertilizer for the food forest.
Awesome.
So this is the dry system, and then we've got the normal traditional wet system, so using water. Now, this water then gets channeled into the inlet of the biogas digester. Correct. Now, this biogas digester does not just necessarily take in the human waste. We also feed it with any kitchen scraps, vegetable matter, rotting fruits, and any glycerol from the biodiesel process. Then the system, nature's doing the work for you. Nature, with her intelligence, is creating a fantastic byproduct, which is methane gas for the cooking. It's creating compost for us, and it's a sewage treatment center. So I really like the concept of biogas digesters. Over here, we've got a aquaponic system. So it's a combination of hydroponics and aquaculture. It's a wonderful symbiosis. It's a wonderful exchange. We keep feeding the fish, and then the fish give us the poo. The poo nutrients are taken up by the plant matter. So we've got veggies. So over here, we've got some nasturtiums. You can actually even eat the flowers of the nasturtiums in the salad, absolutely. And green beans, climbers coming out.
Right, so now we're at yet another one of your feeding plants and also another biodigester.
Yes, we've got 3 biogas digesters here, which is using a different technology. It's a different structure, but it's the same principle. And the output of those biogas digesters, we don't feed any human manure, just carbohydrates, any wastes from the kitchen. And then we put it into these containers, and in here, this has got quite a lot of algae, but in here we're growing duckweed. These tiny little plants, and then this we give to the fish. It's because it's fantastic in nutrients and protein. Let's feed our little chaps. I actually feel so bad that these little fish are contained in only a 1,000 litre container.
I know.
And then somebody's going to eat them.
You need to take them out to play sometime.
On a big pond, you know.
Do they get leave, Tony?
No, they don't. They don't.
Well, Tony, I have no doubt that your ship is run rather tight here, but we're actually about to take it all the way back to where your sustainable life really started, which is at home.
That's correct.
Awesome. Let's hit the road. Wow, Tony, so your home is certainly also your sanctuary, and you've drastically changed your lifestyle to adapt into a environmentally friendly way.
Yes, I could have just had lawns, because that's what was originally in this area here. So some beauty and then also some practicality. So I've grown some food. I've got herbs, cinnamon, basil. I've got some Chinese spinach. I've got some peppers. They're still not fruiting yet. And then I've also got some purple basil, cinnamon basil.
Tony, you've also been part of the exciting movement that is TEDx. What were some of the main pointers and content that you actually covered?
I showcased some of the low-tech sustainable solutions that I have implemented in my home and on other sites. But what I really wanted the audience to take away with them is that we've got the technology, the stuff is available. But the hardest part is to change our mindsets, the way we consume, the way we live. And you don't have to go into a camping site to implement some of these technologies. You can do it in your home. It just requires a little bit more effort, a little bit more care. That's what I try to disseminate or tell people. For example, the Hafiz, that 14th century poet, even after all this time, the sun has never said to the earth, "You owe me." Imagine what a love like that can do. It lights up the whole world. And so then I feel like I'm, you know, that light, I feel it in the solar oven and in the wood gas stove with the little pieces of sticks. When I'm driving my vehicle, I appreciate the transport and the driving because I have to make my own fuel and I know where it's coming from.
Now, who knew that vegetable oil could actually be used to get us from point A to point B? And that's exactly what you've done.
Yes, yes. Initially, I was running my little van on vegetable oil. So it's a 2-tank system. I start up on diesel, engine gets hot. Once it's hot, I'd switch over to straight vegetable oil. But this vegetable oil I get from the restaurants, and then I've got to clean it just to get rid of the bits of the fish and the chips. And then after about 6 years, I decided, let me progress towards biodiesel. It is a little bit more complicated. You need methanol, potassium hydroxide, which are chemicals that you've got to handle with care because they are dangerous. And then you, through this processor, I've got a little pump over here at the bottom, and it sucks in the chemicals through that pipe over there, and then it processes the vegetable oil in here, and then I transfer the process into this tank, and then I'll wash it with water. And then it dries, and then I can put this straight into my vehicle, and it just goes. It goes nicely. For me, it goes nicely.
Now, one of the other toasty features about your sustainable home is your fireplace.
Yes, and I like to use this particularly in winter, but also when I need to bake some bread or some lovely lasagnas. And the heart of the system really is this. It's called the Tsotso stove, and it was developed in the early 80s at the University of Zimbabwe. And I've built one made out of a 20-litre paint tin, and this is vermiculite, which keeps the heat in. So the air comes in through here, and it comes up through the center, and it goes through the holes of this inlet, this chamber, and this is where I put my actual wood. The wood goes in here, and then I just slide this underneath. Open my little door. I load my bread or my something on top. Put some potatoes at the bottom. I close it up. I'm using the pliers because otherwise you'd do it to your hands. And then I light it up here, and then you just close it. And then it emits heat for the winter, so it warms up this little room, and then it bakes the food as well.
A bit of a view and a bit of a cook-off. Tony, what are you doing?
This is a little solar oven that I built, and basically took an old picture frame, and then I put some glass, and then a reflective panel which shines more sunlight into this box. And again, it's the same principle when you leave your car in the sun. Short waves enter, they hit the black surface, it gets hot, that heat is transferred to the cooking pot, and it stays trapped in there because of the glass. And this is how I bake my bread, cook my beans, my rice, my potatoes.
Tony, from the solar action happening down here to some more solar action just behind me, I spot a panel.
Yes, that's the solar thermal hot water system. And this is how I get my hot water using the energy of the sun. So what I did here was get some old wood. I made a frame. I put some masonite board at the back. Got some carpet underfelt. Then I got some thin aluminium sheeting, which they use in the printers. I painted that black. And then I went and get some copper pipes with some T's. I soldered all that together. And then I went and buy some polycarbonate sheeting, which can handle 100 degrees or more. And then same principle as you leave your car in the sun and it gets hot. The hot water goes up into a tank that I've got inside the roof, and then the cold water comes down at that end there. And it just circulates on its own with no electricity. That's what you first do if you want to go totally off the grid. Reduce your consumption, sort out your hot water system, sort out your cooking using gas or biogas or fire, and then just do power the computer, the fridge, the lights. Then you can look at the photovoltaic, and then your investment will be far less.
Tony, it's been an incredible experience just actually being in your presence and seeing how you kind of embrace sustainable living. There you have it. It is actually as easy as 1, 2, 3, but what I'd say is important is actually the attitude towards consumption. So use electricity wisely, and maybe we could be one of the cool kids like Tony real soon.